Welcome everyone to week 5 of our assessment course. I hope you all survived Wednesday's snowstorm. I don't know how hard it hit down in the island or in the city, but we got about a foot up here in Poughkeepsie, and my plowman didn't come until about 6 o'clock, so I was housebound until all day, which gave me all kinds of opportunities to grade and look at your stuff. So everything should be graded now. And make sure you go into Communication My Grades and click on and get feedback. I just want you to know I was really excited this week. This was the first time that I did, not the first time I did the favor intervention assignment, but it's the first time I had you do a video, and you guys were great. I mean, all of you were great. I didn't see one bad video of all of them. Occasionally there were skips in them. Some of you had title pages to them, which I thought was awesome as well. And also your response to those, I think, was better than it's ever been. I used to have my students just write the intervention in their own words on the discussion board, and the reaction to it was nothing like the way you folks reacted to the video. So I'm really pumped up about it. I'm thinking about sending exemplars to Dr. Lara to show them the quality of work that you guys are doing. So I just want to give you kudos for that, and the kudos are for everyone. Every one of you that did a video. I know one of you did a intervention on praise. So I like to call it effective praise. When I think I mentioned this once, but when I observed a first-year chemistry teacher, she just wrote on the overhead for 45 minutes for a class. And it was the most boring most boring class I ever saw. And there was actually one student in the back that was sleeping with his eyes open. And at the end she said, "Well done, class, everyone did a great job." And they just sat there. The kids knew that praise was empty. It meant nothing. So using effective praise is good. And I'm praising all of you. So I just want you to know how effective you were, how it affected me, and some of you are even implementing them in your classroom, which that really, you can see my heart, gets going real fast. Stop. And so it's got to be careful. I can't let my heart get out of control. So keep that up. The Hard as the Dickens discussion board is going to be open for another session, this session, which, as you know, it's next Monday is President's Day, so we don't have class. We won't be meeting. I know you look forward to this video every Monday, but you won't be hearing from Dr. Tom on next Monday. So relax and enjoy the day off. So that's going to be open for another week. So a lot of you were doing 2 discussion boards at once, which was amazing, even though this one wasn't due for a couple of weeks. So that was good. One of the things I wanted to mention when you're sharing websites in the discussion board, which is something I recommend, encourage, want you to do, make sure it is relevant. I always say that relevant web-based material. Make sure it's relevant to the discussion, and make sure you tell us why you're sharing it. Some of you have just posted a website and said, "Hey, I found a great website," and that's it. That's not something I'm looking for. And make sure it has to do with the topic. Like this week's discussion board is on the test creation process. My presentation Last week was on norms and test score. This week it's going to be on validity and reliability. So those are topics that you can reference or go out and find things if you have questions. It's unbelievable. Nobody's really mentioned the cost of creating these tests. Usually that gets a strong reaction. People go, I can't believe they're spending that much money making these tests. We could buy computers with it. Nobody said that yet. So I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for you to say that so I can point you to some material that will open your eyes a little bit about the cost of testing and the percentage of a district's budget. So, I also, going back to the videos, I wanted to just give a shout out to a couple of people that I'm giving the prize for longevity, because I was hoping, or I was recommending 3 to 5 minutes, and most of you stayed within that parameter. But there are a couple of you that got so carried away that you were well over 10 minutes. And the prize for longevity in the ON section goes to Kinshasa, who did what was hers on? Advanced story mapping. And Danielle in my OR section, who did hers on 10 fix-up strategies for reading comprehension. It would have been okay if she did 1 or 2, but she did all 10. So those two get the shout out for longevity of videos. So, good for you. Well, I don't know if that's good or bad, but you get the prize. So back to the discussion boards. Make sure that you're backing your comments up with evidence. I mean, you just can't go and say the assessments aren't assessing the Common Core standards. The assessments are invalid. The assessments are biased. Those are just general statements I'm coming up with off the top of my head, but you can say those things, but you need to support it with evidence. You just can't say it. And that's part of the problem with people bashing standardized testing. They're bashing them from ignorance. They're bashing them from lack of knowledge. They're bashing them because it's cool. I'm a teacher. I hate standardized tests, And so make sure that you're supporting all your opinions with evidence. And if you're not sure, go out and find an answer to it. Go out and find an article that will support it. And typically, I don't like it when people add newspaper articles unless there's quotes from people in the know, and that's okay. But then you got to watch how they spin that, because newspaper reporters are trying to be controversial, provocative, trying to get you to react. So make sure that you are aware of that spin that's coming after they quote these experts, because that's usually what happens. Lastly, I wanted to mention vocabulary in your own words. I've mentioned it a couple times, and you're doing those as you go through the course. You shouldn't be sending me or handing in a completed vocabulary in your own words. That's not the point of me doing that. The point of me doing it is so that as we go through the course, like last week, I believe I had like four different definitions in my presentation of response to intervention. So you got to take one of those and rework it in your own words, and then type it into your vocabulary in your own words. So that's, and then there's going to be a place to upload it in week 11, I believe it is. So make sure you're doing that as we go along. And I'm going to try to pull up my copy of vocabulary in your own words right now, so I can go through the words that are going to be coming up in this week's lesson. So there it is. So keep that in mind. This week we're going to be talking about reliability and validity. You're going to be reading chapters 3 and 4 in Popham and chapter 5 in Cohen and Spencer. No double entry journal. You should all be happy about that. But you're going to see a lot of vocabulary words. You can see as we're coming up here, alternate form reliability, consequential validity, content related validity. Correlation coefficient, I believe, is in this week's. I think I mentioned this last week, but it's in this week's lesson when we talk about reliability, because reliability comes with a coefficient, 0.9, 0.95, 0.8. Internal consistency, inter-rater reliability, which I don't think Popham mentions. I think Cohen and Spencer might mention it, but I definitely mention it in my presentation. Predictive validity, the term reliability by itself, standard error of measurement, and test-retest reliability. So you got a lot of vocabulary words in this session. So make sure you fill this out as you go through, listen to my presentation, and please don't email it to me. It'll be in session 11, I believe. Okay, so this is session 5. As you can see, the assignments are due February 23rd, so they're not due for 2 weeks. There are no written assignments this week. It says no double entry journal here, or no DB, but their discussion board will be open for 2 more weeks, so will have had 3 weeks to make comments. There is your first vocabulary quiz. There will be 2 of those. I'll have one towards the end of the semester as well. So there's a vocabulary quiz. You'll have 2 shots to taking that. As always, excuse me. As always on the discussion board, there is a discussion board set up for vocabulary quiz number 1 right there. I forgot to do this quiz on norms, and forgot to set up a discussion board on norms and test scores, but it's there now. Ooh, sorry. So the vocabulary quiz, you can discuss the ones you got wrong. Hopefully it'll show you the ones that got wrong. I never had this problem before. No one ever said they couldn't tell which ones on a quiz they got wrong. So I have to make sure that that you can do that. So that's the assignments for this week. Remember that you have a discussion board. You have to make 6 posts on 3 different days, which isn't a lot. You can see that I've got 9 people already in the the ON session who have already participated. So that's excellent. I'm going to leave the favorite intervention open for a couple of more days. There were a few posts last night, and I've watched them, and they're pretty good. So make sure if you go back on and see the rest of your classmates who waited till the last minute, and because they're all good, and it's all things you can use. And there is a hard copy in course materials. Remember, in course materials, okay, I'm going to go into session 5 course materials. There are always, people have said, I can't open this document. There's always copies of everything in handouts. So if you can't open it on the assignment page or the discussion board page, there's always copies of things you need here. There's a hard copy of the vocabulary quiz right there. So, download that first and take it before you go online. You should know the routine by now. That's it. That's it for this week. I will be back in 2 weeks. Have a great President's Day, and hopefully spring will soon be here.